Hey you guys, what's up? I'm Ashley from heavenathome.org, and this is the Heaven at Home podcast, where my goal is to encourage you in your personal growth journey while being open, honest, and owning my story. We have faith-based conversations and tackle a bunch of different tough topics. Check out the description to follow me and learn more. Remember, you are fully known and deeply loved. Let's do this. Alrighty. Hey you guys, I hope you all are doing well. This is one of the interviews I told you guys was coming up, and I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with a new friend. Her name is Shaina, and today we're just going to talk about restoration. And Shaina, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your life?
Okay, well, my name is Shaina. I'm 25 years old. I'll be 26 in July.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Really?
Yes, my birthday's July 12th.
Mine is July 31st.
31st.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we
Look at
share
that.
birthdays. July's awesome.
It was
Okay.
meant to be. Okay. So I grew up in a typical Hispanic home, as everyone has.
Mhm.
As a childhood, I could say it was good. Wasn't
Good.
bad. There wasn't any drama, no situations. I had a really good childhood.
Good.
I had my father, I had my mother, my brothers. I am one out of four.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Are you the oldest, middle, youngest?
middle, like the second middle.
Nice.
Yeah.
Aw.
I would say up to the age of 10, 11 is when I started realizing things weren't going as good at home. I started seeing my father and mother argue a lot. He would leave sometimes and so forth. And at first I was like, whatever, like, they'll get past it. I'm a child, like, this happens, right? I remember coming home from school. Actually, I was coming home from my grandparents' house because they get us from school.
Okay.
And my father was at our apartment steps. And I was like, what's going on? And he was like, oh, I have to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And then he has a conversation with me. He tells me that he has to go. And I'm like, okay, so like, when are you coming back? Like, all right,
Yeah.
cool. And he's like, I'm not coming back home. And I was, confused. I didn't understand. And he was saying, me and mommy don't have we're not on good terms right now. We have some situations. And I was like, okay. I brushed it off because for me, I'm not giving too much into it. And then I noticed that I started seeing him a lot less. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then the time that I finally get to see him, he's already with another woman and a woman that has 2 kids.
Did your mom know? Like, was that like a planned thing, or was it a shock to her? Or?
I think she knew. I believe. I've always seen them very mature and open with each other. So I think it was a conversation that had, whether it went good or bad, but I think it's a conversation they definitely had. So when I was able to see my father at the time.
You said he was married and he had 2 kids?
No, when he left our home, when I was able to go see him, he was already with another woman.
Oh.
And that woman had 2 kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was like super thrown up. I'm like real jealous, real mad. I'm like, who are these kids? What are they doing here? So, and my little sister was along as well. So I was super mad, super jealous. I'm like, yeah, you can't do this. Like, what are you doing? Literally after that weekend, I never saw my father ever again.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm already probably about 13. My brothers were already old, so they did their own thing. It was me and my younger sister.
Yeah.
So we started living with my grandparents, and my mom just left us there to, recover, and she can recover as well. And then we started seeing a lot less of my mother. And then that's when everything went downhill as a child, to where I was like, my childhood was so good and now it's ending bad. And the times I was able to see my mother, I noticed she was like just not herself. She
Okay,
was
like
very
something was
different.
off.
Yeah. And so as time goes on, my mother gets with a man, and she takes us out of my grandparents' home. I'm still 13, and things were going good. The guy was great. I would say about 2 months in, it had to be like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. My sister's sleeping, and I just hear like this screaming and stuff going on. And I go walk in their room, and the guy has a gun in his hand, and he was threatening to kill my mother and to kill us as well.
Oh,
but then when he saw me, he hid everything away, and he just stood back. And then I was like, what's going on? And my mother grabs my arms, takes me to the room, and she was like, you have to say that you're going to call the cops. You have to tell him that. And I was like, Mom, I don't understand what's going on. And she hits me.
Oh my God.
And she says, I need you to do this. So I start crying. And then he walks in, my sister wakes up, and I'm covering her eyes. Like, I'm just telling her, go back to sleep, it's fine. And he was like, what'd you do to her? Why is she crying? And she was saying, nothing, this is your fault. So they walk off. I wake up, and I try to go back to sleep. I wake up in the morning. One of my oldest brothers and my uncle comes, picks us up. And I just remember walking out and seeing, like, a whole bunch of glass on the floor. My mom, like, cut up and bruised and stuff. And I was like, how did something so good become so bad so quickly? And I'm just being strong for my little sister.
Yeah.
That's all I can do. So that's why a lot of people, in the beginning of my marriage, people were like, oh, you're so young, because my husband's 10 years older than me. You're so young.
My sister has a similar age difference,
I seen this a similarity now, so I'm like, cool. I'm like, oh yay.
So there are others.
Yeah, I know. Woo! And so when it came to people like, oh, you're so much younger, like you don't know that thing, and I'm like, I just stay quiet, because I'm just like, okay, like I had to grow up at the age of 13 super quick for somebody younger, but okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
So that happened. We went back to my grandparents. And then my mom started going into drugs, started selling drugs, started jumping from man to man. We met a lot of them. At the age of 14, I remember it was like, oh my God, it had to be months before I see my mother. And literally the time that she's coming to come see me, I think my sister was out with my grandparents. I can't remember. But the time that she comes sees me, I'm like, oh my God, yay, I get to see my mother. And here I am in the room, and I'm helping my mother pack up drugs.
Oh my God.
So for me, that was quality time with my mother.
Wow.
At the age of 13, 14. So I'm like, if this is what it has to take, then so be it. So she went through a lot. I can't speak for herself as far as what happened behind closed doors, but for me, it was very hard. I didn't have anyone to talk to. You go to high school, you think you have friends, but you not really have friends. I guess I was just the type to keep everything closed in and just put on a brave face and be like, everything's okay, and just keep brushing it off. And I think the only reason why I didn't talk to my grandparents was I didn't want them to feel like they were to blame for anything. And for me, it's like they deserve peace because, they're your grandparents, they're a little bit older.
Yeah. And
protecting my sister was definitely one thing. But that was my start off as a childhood, and it goes from there on.
Okay, so that's a bit of your history there, so everyone kind of gets a peek into that.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention, for those of you guys listening, I spent some time trying to think about some friends and acquaintances I know that I've had a chance to look into their lives and just kind of see God working through that. But with Shaina's case in particular, I noticed that one of her Instagram profiles is really big on self-worth, self-esteem, and developing that. And so that's kind of the reason that we're talking today. um where do you feel like that passion stems from? Like, what happened in your life to make that, like...
That definitely happened um, when I became insecure and felt unworthy was when I was in high school and I was dating someone and became abusive.
Mm.
And so putting two and two together as far as my father leaving, this man treating me the way he treated me and then leaves me. Now I'm thinking, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to pinpoint all my flaws and try to better myself and being someone I'm not supposed to be. And then that causes insecurities in me. So that definitely came about then, and that took literally so long, so many years I dealt with until the day I came to Christ.
Wow.
I don't really speak about this topic specifically because I have something planned in mind to bring this out, but I'll say it here. I was raped. I was physically abused, and most importantly, mentally abused. And a lot of people say, how are you mentally abused when they say you're not enough? Or they say you're ugly, you're a whore, no one's gonna want you, no one's gonna believe you. So it's like that becomes such a toll in you mentally that you start causing insecurities.
Oh my gosh, I'm crying. Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't apologize. So that's where that came about, and I try to work on myself for so long and say, you know, why can't I keep someone in my life? Why doesn't anybody want me? My mother's not even here. My father's not even here. These men don't even want to be with me either. Like, what's wrong with me? I don't understand. And I became so insecure. I would look at myself. I would think I was so ugly. Oh my God. It's crazy how I think about it now because it's a totally life-changing situation. Because when I came to Christ, he literally picked me up when I was so broken. So broken. And it was a true encountership I had because I don't know how to explain it. I'm going to try my best to explain it. I felt someone just come within me and heal my heart and bring it back into pieces and clear out my mind and just like cleanse me out completely. And I was filled instantly. When I say instant, it was, I hear people and it takes time for them to become healed, but for me it was so instantly. It was crazy. So here I am,
like night and day, a whole nother person.
So I'm like, here I am. I'm like, like, who am I to receive this healing, to receive this transformation? Like, what was so important that he chose me? What did he see that I didn't see? And for him to take that time that he did with me is why I can't leave. He was Jesus was the only one that took his time to hear me out, to take me in, to restore me, to heal me, transform my mind, my heart, and to be able to love myself again, to teach me the true definition of love and forgiveness. So now I'm changing my mindset and saying, I'm beautiful. I'm worthy.
Heck yeah.
Like, hello, God took the time for me, so there's something there. So time goes on. I'm working on myself, becoming better. And someone had told me, they had asked me, well, when you were healed and God came and you gave your life to Christ, where did it come from forgiving your parents or the guy or whoever? And I was like, believe it or not, I forgave them before I even gave my life to Christ. And they were like, wow, you had all the reasons not to get forgiven. I was like, I guess for me personally, I would say I forgave them not only for myself, but for them to not have the power over me anymore.
Yeah.
To say, well, she's there because no, sweetheart. Like, I forgave you, so you don't have the power over my life, and I'll be able to forgive myself as well, and to know it wasn't my fault. My father leaving wasn't my fault. The guy that damaged me, it wasn't my fault. My mother leaving the time that she did, it wasn't my fault either. It was just their fault, and they were going through things, and I just blame myself for them, what they were going through. But truth is, that was their problem, not mine. And now I was able to notice that.
It's so crazy because I feel like you mentioned like your father leaving and like actually having that conversation with you. I was actually talking to my mom in the car a couple days ago, and I'm pretty sure she's okay with me sharing this. But so I had a stepdad. This was my first stepdad, and I remember like he was getting ready to leave. Like I remember him like at the doorway, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going on vacation." And we were like, "Oh, okay, well, have fun, bring us something back." And then like he never came back. And like apparently like my mom and him had that conversation, and then I didn't realize that they were actually getting divorced until I went with my mom to get like those divorce papers. I actually saw that. I was like, "Wait, what?" But my sister and my brother didn't have that experience, so I always kind of wondered like what it was like for them to process that. And then like those like it's only I feel like it's happened for me and my sister literally only once. Like that moment that you have with God, that afterward you're just a completely different person. And people are like, "Who are you? Like this is not who you are." Like,
and it's crazy because I've seen people I went to high school with that hated me and working in places, and I would walk past by them and they won't recognize me. And I was like, okay, God. Like, even if they did, so I'd be like, God bless you. God, Jesus loves you. Okay, cool, let's go. But I think, and here's another thing. I feel like when it comes to parents, I'm saying this as me, myself, as a child, then never make your child feel like they're the reason for anything.
But I also think, like, I feel like sometimes, like, I feel like that would have to be, like, communicated. Because I feel like there's so many, like, subliminal messages that we just internalize without even noticing. I didn't realize I had daddy issues until I turned, like, 18. And I was like, yo, Father God, like, what? It's not. It's not registered.
I think it's just a human nature, unfortunately, that we have to work on and just say, it's okay. Like, we might blame ourselves here and there, but we need to just learn to be like, it's not our fault. You know, it's okay. And communication is so key in every aspect, in every relationship, and everything. And I feel like it lacks a lot in the Christian world. Like, they're not true. They're not open. And my husband said this saying once, and he was like, you know, back then they would preach all the correct things, but they would preach it without love. And then now you have people that want to preach with love, but without the truth. And I'm just like, why can't we just bring it all together and just merge it together and have such an open communication? Like,
and everything's about balance.
It is. Yeah. And that's what's missing. It sucks. That's why I like to be open and true with everything.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because it's like, I feel like when you're authentic and you're real, yeah, you're relatable, but then like everything that happens after that point is actually tangible. Like you can achieve this. Like this is actually, like you can actually learn to love someone you used to hate.
Yes, so, that is very true.
So I have a question for you because like you kind of went into your story a little bit, and I'm sure that there were a bunch of like little moments that maybe like shaped who you were without noticing. So like when it comes to who you are today, like as a woman and as a wife, and also like a minister's wife or pastor, what is he, evangelist?
He's an evangelist.
Evangelist wife. Like how do you feel like what stuff do you actually have to work through and go through the process for? Like you mentioned like there was like an instant thing where you're like, okay, I'm a completely different person. I'm a new woman. But like, what stuff do you actually have to be conscious about now?
Oh man.
This was not on the list of questions I sent you.
It's okay. I'm gonna work my way through it. Jeez Louise. Honestly though, like, oh my god, like I told you over the phone, I think we're still learning until like the day we die.
Yeah.
But for me, I think God molded me into a wife with certain situations. As far as when I met my husband, he came broken to me. And this is his testimony. He's spoken about it before, but his mom tried to kill him when he was in intensive care recovering from a miracle that God did with him that had to confirm that he was cancer free. So he came into my arms completely broken, and I had to take the time to, obviously God did his part, but I believe God used me as well to put him whole. So God definitely prepared me as a wife in that moment to know this is gonna be your husband. He's broken right now. Just,
I got chills. Sorry, keep going.
It's okay. just give him a little bit of hope. Put a lot of love into him, a lot of care. Dude, this Bible verse that my pastor had told me when we spoke about it for our marriage, what do you call it? Before you get married.
Like marriage counseling?
Yeah.
Pre-marriage?
That.
Yeah.
He said, he was like, the Bible says that women are more fragile. The word more fragile means men are fragile too, but we are just more. So I definitely had to learn how to take that in and be like, okay, my husband has his issue, he has his emotions, and it's okay. It's knowing how to deal with it and how to just take the time to just help him. Like, now after the quarantine, like, I realized how I was like, you know what? We need to ask each other, how are we doing? And so we developed that over quarantine. Like every other day, I'll be like, how are you? You're doing okay? And be like, yeah, or no, and then we'll be able to talk. And that's how our communication was able to become better.
I noticed you actually made eye contact when you said, like, how are you?
Yeah, the eye contact is important. Like, if you're lying to me, my discernment's gonna tell me quick.
Yeah, don't be looking at the dishes while you're asking.
I know, right?
Sit down and stare at the person.
So in that moment, I realized God was molding me as a wife. Now, as a minister wife, I was able to travel with him as boyfriend and girlfriend. Obviously, there was a companion as well. I was able to experience, because remember, when I met him, I was a year and a half, almost 2, into when I gave my life to Christ. That's another story, guys. So everything
Come out
was
with your own podcast.
Yeah, I have a whole thing coming.
I'm so excited.
So I was like, okay, this is what it's about. This is what it is. Okay, cool. Got it. Down pat. Cool. I got a little peek. When we get married, we didn't travel till 3 months after we got married, because that was our honeymoon, was 3 months.
Oh, wow.
We're still on a honeymoon,
well,
guys.
You did it right. I am clapping. That is the way to go.
I think he did it more for me to be like, okay, I don't think you know what you're really getting into. So let me give you 3 months.
Yeah.
Thanks, babe. So when it came to traveling, oh my God. I thought I was mentally ready. I was not. I had so many moments where I would stick myself in a corner and I'm like crying, so I'm like, oh my God, what I get myself into? This is so much.
Had like an idealistic view of traveling, like, oh, we're gonna get to go all over the place, and it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. That's why people be like, oh, ministry is not a job. I'll be like,
it is a job.
It is a job, mentally, spiritually, physically, every aspect. And a minister wife is a job as well, people. Okay, so I think what really hit me was the people. When we started traveling, how people started treating us is not always bad. But when it came to the bad moments and then dealing with how people treat us, I think that really hit me the most. Because even though I got hurt from the church that I gave my life to Christ to, I was able to build up from that and brush it off. But like knowing it's
That's
a
a topic
constant
all
thing.
on its own.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said a true encountership with Jesus, no matter what the church does to you and the people, you can't.
You separate that.
Yep.
God is still good.
Amen. So that was definitely, and he would like, my husband would be like, babe, you just have to brush it off and learn and just let it be. And I'm like, no, like being like this whole mama bear over my husband.
Yeah. No one's gonna talk to you like that.
Yeah. And my facial expressions were so bad back then.
Oh, I'm bad with that too. I think that runs with Hispanics. Like, fix your face.
He would tell me, and I'm like, okay, babe, like, And I remember God just telling me, like, don't worry about the people. It's about me. And seeing the miracles and the prophecies was so heartwarming and such an honor to witness. Like, I wasn't able to witness that before, but to know, like, I'm able to see this and know how true it is and even witness it as myself. Like, I'm like, okay, God. Like, the people that do bad to us, like, I'm brushing out, whatever. I'll pray for them. Like, okay, cool. But that was definitely worth it. Like, being able to travel, being used, and seeing the miracle signs and wonders was amazing. I'm still learning to be a wife, a minister wife, and balancing the ministry and husband and wife, because that's a different topic, being able to balance it.
Well, my stomach growled really loud. So kind of going a little bit left with this.
Yes.
As a woman, and when it comes to self-worth, is there anything that you have to do to kind of like maintain that self-esteem, or do you feel like God did it, it's done, and you're good from there? Or?
No. No, I have my days, especially when I am on my days, ladies, if you know what I mean. That's definitely a battle. But
my husband knows when it's coming if I'm crying. Like, I will literally cry 2 days before, and then it's like, okay, someone's
you're like emotional for no reason, and you're like frustrated with yourself. My husband knows when I get it before me, so
hugs and chocolate will do.
Just give me a heating pad. But I think it's a daily thing. I believe it's knowing your worth and just reminding yourself of who you are in Jesus. And if you don't have confidence of who you are in him, I think you would definitely have to work towards that, as far as just praying out to him and just speaking your heart out and telling him how you really feel about yourself.
Yeah.
And your true
like just actually having like an honest conversation.
And I believe he'll definitely work on it with you. Do I have my days where I'm just like, I'm not feeling myself or I'm hard on myself? Of course.
What do you do on those days?
Honestly, I listen to worship music. And I stop I've learned this recently. I stop myself. And I say no. I am this, I am this, I am this, I am that. Because I feel like if I feed more into it, it's going to become a bigger problem. And I don't want that. I was already there. So I know how it is. So I know it's not worth being there. It's not worth being hard on yourself. It's not worth being sad and confused.
I have to do the same thing.
It's a working process.
I'm not doing that.
I'm sorry for saying this, but I feel like a lot of people just feed into that spirit because
it's easier.
Yeah.
I heard, I'm probably going to butcher this statistic or something, but basically like our brain is lazy. So like all the patterns that we've developed in our 25 years experience, that's a lazy way to go sometimes.
Yes.
So your brain doesn't have to like that mental cognitive work that you have to put in to say no, new neural pathway.
That's right.
Is like actual work.
It is. And it's tiring.
Yeah.
It is tiring mentally, but I think that's where the spiritual part of us as women need to just be active and be ready, because some people think
because you start off noticing,
yes,
like you're in the feeling, you're like, okay, I'm starting to feel this way. Then there's that moment where you notice, hey, okay, and then there's the other moment where you stop and you're like, okay, I'm gonna correct this.
Yes, I don't feed into it. I know it's easier said than done, but it's just something you have to do for yourself, like not even for anyone else but for yourself, because I've realized it's affecting me, of course, yeah, because it's me myself, but it affects my husband too a lot, because now he has to work on me and saying, and I notice,
and he can't, the thing is, he can't do it for you.
No, he can't, like as much as he wants to, and he tries, and I know he covers me with prayer, but it's just something you have to do on yourself, and putting that stress on that worry on your spouse is a little difficult on them too. That's why when they say you are one, whatever he feels, I feel, and whatever I feel, he feels. But I've noticed that, I believe, I'm gonna say that when it comes to self-worth and being secure, not only is it mentally, but I believe it comes from the heart as well. That's why it's very important to become healed completely in your heart, because whatever comes from that can affect how you live, how you speak, how you see things, how you receive things.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, just give it to the Lord. No, it's like, yeah, you can say that, but it's a lot harder. I'm like, it's not though. It's really not. I feel like
it's easier to. The thing is, like, I think people like the idea of being independent, and we're like, okay, I got this. Like, but when you're actually being like, no, I'm gonna trust God. I'm gonna depend on Him.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard, because like you said, us humans, we want to be so independent, be like, yeah, I got this, macho. Like, no, just be vulnerable in the Lord and just give it to Him. I'm telling you, it's so life-changing, and you'll forever be grateful for it. It's good. God is good.
So I want to, because I'm just curious, I want to kind of get into your spiritual life for a second.
Yes.
And how would you describe what your relationship with God is? What's the number one way you see Him after everything that's, is it father, friend, lover, comforter, teacher,
everything.
Everything?
Everything. Every single...
literally everything you need.
Everything, because Jesus will be my lover till the day I die. He's way before my husband, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even have him anyways. Jesus was literally my first love. Yeah. So that I cherish so deeply, because like I said, he was the only one that took a time for me. So for that, he's my lover. He's my husband, he's my boyfriend, everything. Obviously,
I think my spiritual life, it kind of went in steps. First father, and then lover was you are worth it. I have eyes for you, in a room full of people. It's all you, kind of thing. Yeah. So, I think keep going.
No, you're fine. I think, like you said, it's in steps in life. As you grow older and as you experience things, is where you're able to see him on a different level and experience him. Way. Yeah. So that's when he becomes the father, the lover, the teacher, the healer, the everything. So I can definitely say he's everything and all that I need, just because I was able to experience him in all different type of aspects.
That's Bible too.
It is. People just don't take time to read the Bible, and they would know that. But I say this confidently. My relationship with Jesus is rooted and it's firm. I worked hard for that too, and just the experience that I had with him, I want to keep it that way, because I literally feel like if I would leave him, I would have nothing. I would have nothing, and I don't want that.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you want to share? Or what do you feel like women need to know?
Women need to know that they are special, they are worthy, they are perfect, even though they say, you know, we're imperfect. No, sweetheart, in Jesus you are perfect. um, Never feel less, and just know there are other women that have gone through what you've gone through that you're able to open up to. Don't be afraid to open up anymore. Is one thing I really want to say. Be truthful, be honest, and find that one person you need to confide in and just be like, hey, I'm not okay. Or hey, I went through this. And have someone that's there for you to pray for you. Even if you feel like, well, I don't confide in anyone, just pray. Pray to God. Let God be your number one best friend. Open up to him with everything, but do not keep anything locked inside anymore. Like, you deserve to have peace. You deserve to be happy, and you deserve to live life fully and just enjoy it and do the will of God. Like,
yeah. I remember like listening to someone being spoken over, and one of the things the speaker, the prophet, was saying was, open your heart to the Holy Spirit like never before. The thing is, like, we have to give him access to those parts. And like, I've been thinking recently about like how uncomfortable love actually is, like, especially when there's like a broken area, when we don't feel like we deserve it, when the world has taught us like completely different, and God literally goes into that area. It feels uncomfortable. It feels awkward. It feels painful sometimes. Like, I used to describe it as like God like breaking my heart, but in a good way, like making it like tender and soft and stuff.
You were able to really just love again, and it took some, like you said, discomfort. I think that's like I find it funny because it's like sometimes we don't really know something's there until God just pokes it.
Yeah.
Or he uses someone to poke it, you're just like, wait, whoa, what was that? I didn't like that. Jesus.
Put it on the heartstring.
Don't do it. And that's when I had to learn the hard way to just be like, okay, God, just take it all, please. I don't like it. And we just have to be okay with it. We just have to learn how to surrender. We have humans have such a hard time surrendering, and it's not a harm. It's just, what's the word? It's just
like, it helps you. It doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, but some people are just so afraid of going through the discomfort again and letting God in. So that's the hard part.
Especially when it's like when you have like moments. I feel like people who have had moments like we mentioned where it's like instant and easy kind of because God did it all.
Yeah.
They have trouble when they have to go through an actual process, and it takes time and like daily mental work.
Yeah, that's why I feel like if you're going through something, try not to like push yourself into anything new or someone new, because it's not gonna go so good.
Yeah.
You have to definitely make sure you're good and healed before you put yourself in any other situation to just not cause any more harm to you. I just want to read something that I wrote. It's like a little sentence. It says, you are guaranteed the victory in this battle before you even begin the fight, simply because you have Jesus on your side. It's so simple. It's just, you have to be vulnerable to just give it up to him.
That reminds me of this verse. Let me pause and look it up really quick. Okay, so it reminded me of this verse. It's 2 Chronicles 20:17. It says, you will not have to fight this battle. Take up your position, stand firm, and see the deliverance the Lord will give you, Judah and Jerusalem. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Go out and face them tomorrow, and the Lord will be with you.
The Bible says it all.
Yep. Bible.
Read it, my friends.
So, okay. So is there anything you want to share about yourself or what's coming up, or you want to leave that in secret? Have people follow you on Instagram to find it?
I'm gonna keep it as a secret.
Okay. Guys, follow her on Instagram. Okay, go stalk this woman.
Okay. If you guys ever need anyone to talk to, please message me in DM, and I'll be more than open to have a conversation with you and lead you the right way.
Awesome.
As much as I can.
Yeah, and also, so we did a couple. I think we talked once before we actually did this. That it's important for women to know it's okay to not be okay. There are people out there who can relate to you, and basically just let God in. Yeah. Let God make you, beautifully restored, like new.
Yeah. If he did it with me, he can definitely do it with you. Yes. That's my slogan, and that's what I pray every time I speak about a little bit of my testimony, is to just show women, if he did it with me, he can do it with you. It's possible.
Yeah, it's proof.
It is. I'm living proof that I was restored, and I was healed, and I was transformed, and I was able to be built into something so beautifully that God showed me what it was, and here I am.
I'm gonna build on that too. I'm gonna build on that because, like, with your history, I'm pretty sure there are statistics that say like that you're supposed to be something that you're not today. That you were supposed to be like whatever. And like the fact that you have a new inheritance.
I was supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
Literally, I was supposed to be dead, because after that whole situation, when it came to being sexually abused, I became very suicidal.
That's real.
Very suicidal. I cut myself. I even burned myself. I wanted to like overdose on pills, just because I felt like it was the easier way out of the pain. And it wasn't. Even before I even gave my life to Christ, I had a feeling like this God was real. And I took a chance and just prayed. Whether I knew if he was hearing me or not, I took a chance. I'm like, I've heard about him. Let me just take a chance. Yeah. And that one chance that I took led me to where I was today. Loved, cared, beautiful, a wife, because I'll tell you this much, I didn't think I was gonna be married, or I didn't have a husband and wife. Nothing. Like, I was like, oh yeah, me as wife, that would probably never happen. The whole doubts and everything, but being a wife is so amazing. It's beautiful.
Look at God.
I love my husband. It's great, and my husband definitely helped me a lot, and does help me a lot as far as teaching me wisdom, maturity, the ministry, poking me to get me out of my comfort zone. Like this today, this is definitely out of my comfort zone.
Oh wow,
it is.
And I never would have known.
Yeah, no, everything, the Instagram page, he definitely pushed me out there. So
awesome.
That's been good. But
well, clapping that he made you do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to DM me to send me your feedback. Check out the description below to follow me on social media. This podcast is listener supported. Don't forget to subscribe. Remember, you are fully known and deeply loved. I'll see you in the next one.